This is Charter Local Edition. I'm Brad Pomerance. We are in Signal Hill today, kind of a modified road show. We are in the Long Beach area. It's my pleasure to introduce you to a new friend. Her name is Fellhauer. She is a councilwoman in the city of El Segundo, but she recently became the president of the Independent Cities Association. We met in Sacramento. I enjoyed meeting you, and I want to get a sense for myself and our viewers, what is the Independent Cities Association?
Well, Brad, thank you for having me
Of
here
course,
today.
of course.
Certainly a pleasure meeting you in Sacramento.
Yes, yes.
You're quite the personality.
Well, I appreciate you saying that. At least my mom and daughters think so, as does my wife, but be that as it may.
So Independent Cities Association, what sets our cities apart is that they have either one or both their own police or fire departments.
I see.
And so that's what kind of sets us apart. So while our issues are similar to Contract Cities Association, Independent Cities Association does have additional issues because we fund our own departments.
And so how does it differ from the League of California Cities?
Well, our association currently, we have 43 cities across LA County.
I see.
And we represent over 7 million constituents.
I see. So it's smaller, more direct.
Right now, I would like to see it grow, and I know our board of directors would like to see it grow, and we want to focus more on a Southern California kind of issues that impact Southern California.
So you mentioned that what distinguishes you from the contract cities is your cities either run their police department or their fire department or both.
Correct.
What does that present for your cities? Why is that a unique challenge so that there needs to be an organization to be an advocate?
It's a unique challenge because we fund our own departments, and so funding issues are definitely more prevalent among our cities. And then the issues that impact law enforcement and public safety altogether are more tremendous of a hit to our budgets than they are to other cities that contract with the county.
And it's interesting, I don't think a lot of folks may realize that some cities contract out with the county. And in fact, we have a bureau in Riverside, and right now, the city of San Bernardino is looking to hand over its fire service to the county because, like you said, it is a tremendous responsibility. And while people do take pride in, it's my city's fire department, it's my city's sheriff or police department, it can be significant. In El Segundo, as an example, which of the departments do you operate yourself? Is it the fire, police, or both?
Both. El Segundo is a completely independent city.
And so what has that taught you as you've become president of this organization?
Well, I certainly, I was born and raised in El Segundo.
Nice. So you've really seen that city grow up, by the way. I mean, El Segundo has become quite a place.
For sure.
I mean, people are moving to El Segundo for the schools and the proximity to LAX and the beautiful beaches. I mean, it's quite the place.
I would make the argument that public safety in any city, not just El Segundo, but public safety allows the environment for things like schools and parks to thrive. So without really effective public safety, nothing else would really matter.
I'm glad you said that because I so often hear when I speak with folks about economic development, before you can even bridge that discussion, you have to talk about public safety because no businesses want to move into an area where there is crime, even low-level crime, be it, drug sales or petty theft. It's a no-go.
Right.
So please.
Which leads me to talk about ICA, Independent Cities Association, and what we do is we advocate on behalf of local control, local government control. And we believe very strongly in that, and so we're up in Sacramento at least a couple of times a year. We're joining forces with contract cities because while we're two different organizations, we do share a lot of the same issues, whether they're contracted with the county on police and fire, or we have our own police and fire. Of course. The same issues impact both.
So let's talk about local control. It's interesting because on the education front, we know that funding for public schools is devolving and the districts are getting much more local control over their dollars. What's happening on the public safety front? I mean, you get your funding, where do you get your public safety funding?
Some of it's through the state and back through county. Like for instance, El Segundo, I can speak about specifically, which would be similar for any independent city. Your general fund pays for your public safety organizations, but with recent passing of AB 109, which was in 2012, the state's realignment system, which albeit it was kind of forced, their hand was forced by the federal mandate.
Well, U.S. Supreme Court.
Right. So, what that did was they realigned the state prison system. A lot of those prisoners were kicked down to the county level, and LA County has a larger population than 42 of the 50 states.
Yes,
so a disproportionate number of criminals come from LA County. And so the issue with AB 109 was there were a lot of people that were kicked out to the streets. I don't mean kicked out, but released, early released to the streets. And, our local communities, the independent cities, are feeling that the most.
And let's talk about that, because it is a very important issue when you consider, like we said, the questions of blight and crime as we're pulling out of this recession. I mean, you said it better. The state had no choice at a certain level. The U.S. Supreme Court said, your state prisons are overcrowded. You need to figure this out. Now, was AB 109 the best approach? I don't know. I mean, I'm not a criminologist. But as you said, we have these lower level offenders serving their time in county facilities, some county facilities. I mean, the term releasing them early is so loaded. I don't know what to call it.
Well, they're unsupervised. So when they're released, in the past they were paroled or probation would supervise these folks. So when they're released and they're not supervised. And so the issue with that is they're out in our communities and no one is checking up on them to make sure that they're finding a job, that they're staying out of trouble.
Now, some counties are looking to implement programs. I mean, part of AB 109, and then even in Prop 30, there was money for these rehab, reentry programs. Are they working? Again, I think some counties are having more success than others. LA County has a whole host of issues. But how does it then impact the cities? Because look, AB 109 technically doesn't impact cities, technically, but as you suggest, of course it does.
Absolutely. Right.
But meaning, the cities aren't imprisoning these folks, but of course, it does wind up, people wind up in the city streets.
Right. You can go to any police chief in LA County and ask them if crime has gone up in the last couple of years, and they will all tell you that it has.
The question is why? I mean, crime's gone up nationally. And so it's hard to know, is it AB 109? And then I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Prop 47, which throws a whole other monkey wrench in.
Which just compounded AB 109.
Well, arguably, because now you have lower level drug offenders not being charged with felonies but misdemeanors, and some departments are not even bringing those folks in. They're just ticketing them on the fly. And so how does that impact cities?
Well, it impacts cities tremendously. I mean, we've all seen an uptick in property crimes. And, let's face it, people who have a drug problem aren't committing crimes because they're doing it for fun. They're doing it to fund their
It's interesting you mentioned property crimes because, look, there are a lot of dueling studies about AB 109 and 47. It does seem as if property crime probably is linked to AB 109.
No doubt. No doubt.
What do I know? But
and then with Prop 47 compounding the issues of more criminals on our streets, Prop 47 has compounded that, and we now see that issues like stealing a gun, possession of a stolen firearm.
If it's under 950,
people don't steal firearms for their gun collections. They steal firearms because they're going to use them in a crime. That's a fact. And I can tell you that because I work in law enforcement.
Yeah, and the reality is there's a lot of discussion about, is there a way to make fixes to 47? Because look, the feeling of the voters was palpable, folks being put in jail for 10 years for marijuana possession, but it becomes complicated. But most importantly, you did a great job. Thank you for joining us. Congratulations on all that you do. Her name is Marie Fellhauer. She is a councilwoman in El Segundo. She is the president of the Independent Cities Association. I'm Brad Pomerance. This is Charter Local Edition.